Hey,
My name is Erin. Watch out.
okay. Start right now.
I am so excited to be talking to y'all tonight. This is fun. I'm talking about a topic. I'm pulling up a link while I'm sitting here. I'm talking about a topic that I love to hate because that's how I do this. I am talking about systems tonight. I don't know what we actually officially titled this call. I don't really care what we officially titled it. I'm going to talk to you about systems. And so that is what I'm here for. I will also just point out for those of y'all in live, and then I'll give you the link for those of you on here. I am running a compensation conversations Facebook group. I'm going to be filming. I've done a couple of different compensation videos already. I love to teach the comp plan. Like I love our compensation plan. I love the numbers. I love the analysis. I love breaking it down and helping people figure out how to strategize from within it. I love it. And so I'm teaching all the pieces of the compensation plan individually in a group that is open for anyone. And you can find it. The link is in the chat here. And for those of you guys watching, it is facebook.com/groups/brand partner tips. Now listen, that's not the name of the group. Don't ask me why the URL and the name of the group are two different things. I can't even get into that, but the group is /brand partner tips. It's called compensation conversations because I like to make things confusing for you guys. I like to make you think twice about stuff. So we're going to talk about systems tonight. Systems for successfully growing your business, systems for being a successful leader, systems. And so if you're a note taker like I am, y'all feel free to like unmute your, not unmute, that will get chaotic, but like show me your face if you want, because I'm looking at as many faces as I can here. I like to keep y'all up on a grid on my screen, so I'm not just talking to myself. That's weird. How many of you have systems that you use for your business? 2 of you, fabulous. Okay, like 4, but not many of the hundreds of people on this call. I am going to prove to you that you actually do. However, and I'm going to give you a bunch that are going to be helpful for you. But here's what I want you to do. If you're a note taker, if you're taking notes, I'm going to give you something to write down first. Okay. And the first thing that I want you to write down, it's 3 words. Okay. Write these down. You need to write down systems work. Write it down. Just trust me. Systems don't work, because it's true. Systems don't work. Systems do not work. Systems are awful. They're not awful. But here's the second part of that. That was part 1. Part 2 is you do. Write that down. So you have systems don't work, you do. Because here's the reality. I was a diamond before I ever heard anyone talking about systems. And I don't even remember where I was, but I do remember the emotional feeling that I had, you know, that like cold sweat that comes over your body where you're like, oh my gosh, I think I've done something really wrong. Like I've made a huge mistake that will follow me forever. Oh no. And somebody said, well, talk to me about some of the systems that you've used to be successful. And I literally looked at them. It's kind of like I used to be a high school math teacher, but I came into that out of a totally different career. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for years. And then the Lord just really radically shifted that and was like literally spoke to me. It was bizarre. Through a number of people and circumstances was like, you're going to quit your job making 6 figures as a pharmaceutical sales rep. And you're going to go teach high school where you don't even have a license and you're going to make like $32,000 a year. And I was like, that seems like a terrible plan. But I do remember going into that very first training with, I remember going into that very first teacher's training before school started. And I remember them talking about rubrics. Have you guys ever heard this word before? Have y'all ever heard the word rubric? It's basically like a chart where it's like a rubric for our business would be painful. It'd be like, shows up every day. And then it's like beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. And it's like scale 1 to 10, like doing great at a 10 and like not so much at a 1. And then it would have like another thing and it'd be like effectively communicates to her team. And then it's like beep, 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 boop, boop. And like it's like just this painful chart. So rubric is like a chart. So I remember when somebody first said, hey, Erin, do you have any systems for your business? That like Like, I remember sitting in the meeting and they started talking about rubrics for class something that I never made a rubric ever the whole time I taught PS. Like, I was like, I'm not doing that. But I remember that cold sweat I had in that teacher training where I was like, this is something I should know because people are talking about it like it is like a normal thing, like taking roll every day. And I do not know it. And that is how I felt when people started talking about systems. And I was like, I've missed it. I don't have it. I'm so far ahead of where I should be, or I'm not ahead enough, but like I've gotten where I am without it, but should I have it? So if any of you have heard the word systems and you're kind of like, oh, crud, like I'm a silver and I don't have any systems, or, you know, I'm an executive. I'm never going to get past it because I don't have any systems. Just rubric with me on this. And like, we're going to make it through this. Okay. So here's the deal. Systems don't work. They do not work. You're the one who works and you're the one who determines whether or not you have systems. And when I really forced myself to sit back and think through the concept of systems, what I realized was that I had created a ton of them along the way. And they were actually working for me, but they didn't actually look as structured as what I felt like they should look. Like I felt like they needed to have the ability to have like a flow chart and the outline format with the like 1, 2, 3s and the ABCs. Like I felt like it needed to have something really formal in structure in order for it to be a system that actually worked for me. So what I want to encourage you guys with first is that you have systems already happening. Now you have to determine two things with that. Are they currently working for you? And can you share them with people? Because it's not helpful for you to have a system that works for you that's not something that you can duplicate out for your team, okay? This doesn't mean that you have to literally hand them everything, okay? That's the other piece of it, is that we think a system is going to be like an online set of classes and videos that they're going to funnel through and check off. And that is a system. No, that like, I still to this day have nothing like that for my team. Nothing. Okay. No, like my team is like, but we want it. And I'm like, okay. Like we don't have that. But here's what I will tell you. The very first system that I created the day I began sharing Young Living. And I did get a quick start with Young Living. And I will just tell you this, like everybody comes into Young Living with a certain level of connections in their lives, the influence, the warm influence that they already have in their lives. We all come in with a certain amount. I do fully believe that I just was primed and ready with a couple of prior careers. I had a lot of credibility with people around me. I wasn't like a blogger or online or anything like that, but like I had a lot of credibility and I had a lot of influence where I was. The beauty of it is I began talking to several people quickly. Okay. So day one, I shared a testimonial about my son sleeping through the night. It was a lavender and cedarwood situation. He was 11 months old, slept through the night for the first time. He actually did it twice in a row. I wouldn't have said anything if it only happened once. It did happen twice in a row. I'm not going to say it happened super consistently after that, but it did happen twice in a row. And I started talking about it. And isn't that the truth? Don't you feel like as soon as you share like this most amazing life-changing testimonial for you, like it falls apart the next day and you're sort of like, I wasn't lying. This really happened, but okay, I don't know what to do with that, right? Like, but it happened. So if you've been there, I've been there. He sleeps through the night. Okay, now it's 7.5 years later. Anyway, so he just wants to sleep with me is the problem. That's a whole, the oils aren't going to fix the boy who wants to crawl in bed and twine his fingers through my hair at night. And I'm going to live with that for a while and I'm be happy about it. So here's what happened. Day one, I shared my testimonial of Graham sleeping through the night. And I shared it in a small Facebook group where I was a partner, a leader in this small group of mamas, because I was a photographer. And so I've had a lot of lives. And so I was in this photography moms group, shared that he slept through the night because I knew it was something that resonated with them. Genuinely was not trying to sell oils in that particular moment. I was simply knew that I had something going on that they would celebrate with me, that I slept well. And that was it. However, immediately my messages started pinging, like, what are you talking about? What is that? That sort of stuff. Like, how do I get this? All of that. In today's market, with just being able to send somebody my link and let them grab the exact oils that they wanted, I can't even imagine how many more people I would have been able to enroll, right? Because then I had to go from a lavender cedarwood story and like into the like starter kit. Like, I know you just think you want these two and that kind of is what you want, but like, you're going to have to get this whole thing. Like, let me just say, like, praise the Lord for the system that we have now, because it makes those kinds of things a lot easier. So what I did is I realized after answering the, third person or whatever, that they were all asking me the same thing. What happened? What are those oils? What do they do? What did you do? How do they work? How do I get some? That sort of thing. And my very first system with Young Living is a system that you guys all probably have, even if you've not organized it. And that is, I knew how to answer those questions. And by the time I did it one time, I was not going to do it again unless I went back and I would copy and paste my answer. I would personalize it a little bit. But now listen, this is not me saying go out there and copy, paste, blast, cold market Instagram. That's not what I'm telling you right here. I'm telling you, these are people who are engaging with me and asking me active questions. And I just learned, you know what? People who are curious about oils are going to ask a couple of the same questions. And even if they don't phrase it exactly the same way, there are a few bodies of a text that I can have prepared and ready to pop in there. And so what I did without even realizing what I was doing is I saved it into the notes app of my phone. I have an iPhone. It's just got like a little notes app in there. And so I just saved it in there. Each one of them was their own note. This was the first time I'd ever used the notes app in my phone. So it was empty and easy for me to use. Now I would probably choose to like pin certain ones to the top or something like that. By the way, if you have not pinned your share link in your notes app to the top of your notes so that it's right there at your fingertips, there's a system for you. And guys, let me just tell you, that's how easy systems are. Okay. It's just, you do the thing one time and then you go, I don't want to make that hard when I have to do it again. And I'm going to do this again. How can I make this easier for myself? That is systems. It's not a complicated thing. It doesn't need to give you the cold sweats like it gave me the first time I heard the terminology and thought I needed to create some sort of a business funnel. Those exist too. I still don't use them. I'm just telling you simple things. Pin it in your notes, put it in your notes app. Oh, somebody just screen shared. Okay. I can't undo that. Okay. Put it in your notes app, just type in the information. And then you're just going to want to, there's a thing in there. I think you slide it or I don't know, Google it. I don't know. There's a way to pin it. And then it just pops it at the top, kind of like a favorites. So it's just at the top and it's always there. And I've done that with my share link now. So I actually have one pin. I'm jumping into one of my other systems. I have one pin at the top and the top of it is share link. And it's just literally that share link out of the shopping platform, that's like blah, 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 yada, yada, / my member number. And then under it, because I have a MyYL site and I've created bundles that I use fairly often, I'll pin those bundles. And so I'll have like, fall diffuser bundle, the link for the bundle. And then under it, I've just typed in really quick, like this goes along with that graphic I have that looks like this, and so I know like what it goes to. If I'm just at a quick glance, like I need some content, what's something I can share real quick? Those are bundles. I'm not going to get into how to share bundles, how to create bundles on MyYL. That's literally the purpose of that website. And if you go to myYL.com, that is a Young Living site that you can opt to get as a monthly thing. It will show you how to do all of that. So I'm going to not answer that. I hear you that is something you want to answer to, but I promise it's all there and I'll show you how to do that. So those are the systems that I used at the very beginning. So remember I said the two things that we need to ask about systems. Actually, I don't remember what I said my two things were because I was making them up on the fly, but I think it was like, does this work for me? And then can I duplicate this or something like that, right? So does that work for me to keep things in my notes app where I can find it when I need it? Does that work for me? Yes, that works for me. Is there a fancier way to do that? I don't know. Do I care? No, because it works for me. Okay, listen, I hit executive the first month I was building my business. It works for me. Okay. Like it's totally fine for that to happen, that's how you answer questions. Now, do you personalize it every time you take that information and share it with someone? Yes, for the love. These are individual people with individual needs and questions and concerns, and you personalize every conversation that you have. It is rare that you're going to grab content like that and paste it in and not have something to tweak it with. Okay. So, I mean, I will say, like, don't put in there like, hey, Carol, blah, 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 and copy that. Like, if I'm going to put it in my notes app, I'm going to take Carol out and put friend in just in case my fingers slip and I hit send on that sucker before I've had time to like tweak it and make it personal. I don't want anything like weirdly personal to be what I have saved in my notes. I want that system to be basic. Okay. And then I can make it fancier in the actual live message to the person. Okay, y'all track me on that. So the second question is that I made up on the fly is, can it be duplicated, right? Like, can I do this? Can I help my people do this? And so here's one of the things that I've done, and I have taken this concept and done this multiple times. And so, first off, can this be duplicated? Yes. You know why? Because your people are going to have the same basic answers or need the same basic answers to the same basic questions. So can you go, listen, step one, whatever, I don't even do steps, but like part one of growing your business is get your notes app set up. And I'm going to give you 5 notes to save in your notes app or wherever fancy place you want to put them, because these are the questions you're likely to get. And if there's another piece of that, which is if no one ever asks you these questions, then you need to figure out what it is that creates circumstances to get them asking you. That is a whole other Monday night talk. That is not my talk. My talk is systems. So, intriguing people. I don't know. That'll be next week with somebody, I'm sure. No, I don't know what's next week. So that's a whole nother thing. But like the questions that you're sharing with your team should be questions they expect to get answered. You don't need to listen. All of you who are like, oh, I got 25 things they need to have in. No, stop. No, do not overwhelm your new people. Simple, basic is best. Simple. They really and truly just need the answers to a few questions. Okay. They don't need an encyclopedia in your Facebook group of like 42 FAQs that you might get as a new. No, they're not going to get 42 new questions. And if they are getting 42 new questions, there's just something wrong going on there. If they're getting questioned to death, their approach in all of that is not great. And so you may want to like, if they keep coming to you with needing more things, like you might want to just go like, hey, can I be a part of one of these conversations? Right. And like get up in there. Okay. So that is one of the first things that I will say. There's another thing about systems that I think really freaks people out. And I'm just going to say this as a separate caveat and conversational point. There are people who believe that network marketing doesn't work, right? We've all, at least most of us, have probably heard this. I've heard it from people on my team who've, hung around in our Facebook groups for a few months and then said network marketing doesn't work. Notice that I said they hung around in our Facebook groups for a few months. I didn't say that they like held classes and proactively communicated with people and they sought to meet needs in the people around them and they desired to be a service to their loved ones. I said they hung around in our Facebook groups for a few months, right? And then they were like, oh, this network marketing thing doesn't work because I put up 4 car salesman ads on Facebook on my news feed and shared a really commercial looking graphic that had 74 words on it and prices and, arrows, and people didn't buy it. So this network marketing thing doesn't work, right? We hear that. All too often, the people who are saying that are not actually doing network marketing. They're just trying to sell things on their news feed. And that is super, super different. That's not what this is. Network marketing is actually, it is the ultimate system. It is the most beautiful system when done well. And that is key. It's got to be done well. One of my favorite personal mentors is Kristen Boss. I don't know if y'all know who she is. Her podcast is Purposeful Social Selling. I highly recommend it to everyone. I'll give you a short list of some to start with. If you're looking for some really quality education for your day, Purposeful Social Selling is the name of her podcast. The very first one that you should start with is Success Thoughts. It is like number 7, I think, of her podcasts, number 7-ish. The second one that you should listen to, and she keeps them under 30 minutes. She does like 2 minutes of vamping in the beginning where she's just like telling you who she is. You can skim that. You can put it on 1.5 speed if you're on your Apple phone, and like you can blast through these suckers in 20 minutes. If you're like me, you'd want to listen to them on normal and you need your notebook because I'm like pages of content when I listen to these. Success Thoughts. The second one that you should listen to, and listen, I straight up like hopped. So I'm in a business group for someone in my way upline, a Royal Crown Diamond, like 10 levels above me, who's just a dear friend. And, I'm just like in a little Facebook chat group that she has going on with her leaders. And like I straight up, and if you're on this call, I love you. I don't even know who I was talking to, but somebody in there in her chat just got all like wah-wah the other day. And I was like, we don't do that. Listen, if you have a mindset problem, if you've got issues with belief, that is on you. That is not a Young Living problem. That is not a network marketing problem. That is just you. And like at some point in this business, I'm like doing a whole other talk right now. So y'all just roll with me. At some point in this whole deal, we just got to wake up and recognize that sometimes we get mindset problems. I'm digging myself out of a hole of mindset problems right now. Like I'm actively engaging and working through some beliefs that I had off track. And here's how I figured out what they were. I listened to Kristen Boss's podcast called The Belief Plan. Okay, go find it. It's from maybe November of last year. I don't know what number that is. And it is fan-freaking-tastic. It is the 3 things that you must believe in to be successful at this business. And she will straight up tell you on a scale of 1 to 10, if you can hit all 3 of them at like an 8 or a 9, you will have a 6-figure income. You will. And I will tell you the season of business where I grew my business to a 6-figure income, I was at a 9 solid on all 3 of her beliefs. And I can also tell you, I am not solid at a 9 right now. And that is where I'm digging into some stuff because I am a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living. I have a killer team. I would not trade a soul. Well, I might trade a few of them, but I wouldn't trade most of them for anybody on this planet. My team, if you're watching, you know, I love y'all. Like, I don't want any of the rest of these jokers. I just want y'all. And you know that I am a fanatic about my team, but I have some mindset garbage that I'm dealing with myself as a phenomenally successful leader in this company. I am not ashamed to admit that my mindset gets in the garbage. It also means I'm going to call you out on it if yours does too, right? But I say it with love and a little sarcasm, so you can't get too mad at me. So, okay. Also other ones that I love from her, she just did one, 3 weeks ago, she started breaking down that, I don't know if I should say it, but I will, that LuLaRoe documentary on Netflix, and she broke it down from a position of really loving network marketing and what can we learn from it. Phenomenal. She did that over 2 weeks. And then last week, she did a whole one on your warm market. And can I just tell y'all, every single person, it's required on my team for them to listen. Not required. I can't make anybody do anything, but we're about to do a team-wide Zoom call, and it's literally going to be go listen to this, and then we're going to talk about it because it's so freaking good. Okay. All right. That was like a whole thing. I got on this because she has a quote that I love that I wanted to share with you guys, because I've repeated it to my team like 100 dozen times in the last few weeks. It's just completely embedded in my brain because it is brilliant. And I will repeat it a few times so you guys can write it down, because this explains systems. Okay. This is the crux of it. You know, we're 23 minutes into the call, so it's about time I give you the punchline for it, right? So here's her quote. She says this, I think she says this a lot in her Success Thoughts podcast, and then it kind of becomes the theme of everything that she does from here on. So here's what she says is consistent. I'll say it one time through and then I'll slow it down. Okay. Consistent compounded effort over time will reach a tipping point and create momentum. So the topic when she brought this up is she's like, how do you get to momentum, right? Like, how do you get to the point where the train is moving itself and you're still doing things, but there's also movement that's happening without you feeling like you're having to roll the wheel yourself, right? And so what she said again is that consistent compounded effort. Okay, just think about that in terms of the systems that you create for your business. Are they things that can be done consistently? A system is not a system for your team if they only need it for 4.2 seconds. Okay, an example of that, I'll break this quote down just a little bit in my own way. I hope I don't do any disservices to her on this, but when I think about, okay, let's say my team is going to do a team-wide class next week. And I want my team to do a really great job of inviting people to that class, right? Teaching that and learning that is a skill in this business of how do we not just set the class and then tell people to go to it, but how do we do the things along the way of, letting people know that it's happening? Do we already have a list of warm candidates that we know are going to want to come to this? Are there people who we've not talked to yet about oils, but we're like, you know what, this might be something that I actually reach out because I think this will serve them in a way that I want them to be a part of this if they're interested in it. And this could also be a chance for me to test the waters. There's a lot of different things in that happen up to that class. It is not a system if I hand you copy for that class. And my system cannot be, we have a class every other Tuesday, and on the Wednesday before, I will give you a write-up that will be helpful for you to invite people. That is not a system. Okay. Is that helpful? Maybe. Okay. Is that something that leaders could or should do? Perhaps that would be really helpful, especially if you're a new people who don't know what the heck they're doing, right? Like throw them a bone. That might be the shape of the bone for that week is here's your write-up for the class. Okay. But the system behind classes is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use a class as a demonstration. And so we're going to actually have a class on Tuesday. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to train my team through the process of figuring out, how do you know who your warm market people are who would be interested in this? How have you collected a prospect list in the past? And have you been keeping track of a way to denote who might be interested in certain topics? How would you go about reaching out to people who are maybe not a cold person you don't know, but cold market in terms of like, we haven't talked oils. Like, how would you know and do that in a way that is done well? And the reality of that is, all too often we hand people the short game. And this is true of us in any level of this business. We hand people that short game, when in reality, what we need to do is we need to help them see all the intentional pieces that go into doing the thing well. And that actually creates a system, and it creates a classes system. It doesn't have to look like anything, but you go in like, you know what, when it comes to a class, there's like, I'm making this up, but let's say there's 5 successful pieces to hosting a class. There's gathering the list of people, inviting them well, showing up to class, closing them, and follow up. Boom, I just came up with 5. Did you like that on the fly? I made that up, but those were actually really good. I hope somebody wrote that down. That was good stuff. So if that's your 5 things that you're doing, this is how I run my business, by the way, is just super on the seat of my pants. This is my people are like, yep, that happens. So if that is what needs to be done to have a successful class, then creating a system around classes is going to look like, okay, so how can I help people figure out how to gather a list of prospects? And in the process of that, what are some things they could be doing with that list over time that would be helpful? And putting that information in a place that is not specifically geared to this one class you have on fall wellness, but is like, for the course of your career with Young Living, here is the way that you need to approach prospects, communicating with them, creating content for them, tracking them, and all of that. Do you see how this becomes a system? Otherwise, it's just random bits of information. But then if you talk about, I think inviting was the next one. Okay, well, we have our list. How do we invite? What are the ways to do that? What do you not want to do with that? How do we want to invite well? Then we actually host the class. Well, there's a whole lot that goes into that, right? Like, how do you create connections with people who are there in person? All of this becomes not just education on how to do a class, but it becomes something they can re-engage with. Then when they host a class, you've created content for them. You've created instructions for them that they no longer need you for. Do you hear me on that? Like, your goal, it's not to go retire on a beach and not give 2 craps about your team. That's not your goal, but your goal is to create a system and to create something that works without you having to be like day-to-day blood, sweat, and tears engaged in it. Now, don't fall for the lie that you don't ever have to do that. I'm just going to shoot you straight. I don't think there are any of us on this call of any, higher level with this business who would tell you, oh yeah, 5 minutes a day. Like, listen, there's some garbage that has been talked in Young Living about building your business 5 minutes a day. And I'm going to tell you, you can do that every now and then, but there's going to need to be some like really intentional time put into growing your business, because at some point you got to like write out all this stuff for people. You can't just rest on it having been done before and being findable somewhere. At the very least, if it's findable, you got to help your people know where to find it. And so there's some time that goes into this. I am so far, I've gone through 1 line of my notes, and I'm not even done with Christian's quote. Good Lord. Okay, we're only 30 minutes in. Buckle up. Let's go. Okay, so the rest of her quote. Okay, that was consistent. Did you like how she has this long freaking quote, and I got through 1 word and just tangented off on that. Consistent, compounded effort over time. Okay, listen, y'all. yes, you are going to have moments of quick success. You will. But I will tell you, every single time anyone in this business feels like or looks like, because we perceive we think we see what's happening with other people and we make assumptions about their journey and we don't know junk about their journey. And so that is mindset issue for sure. But anytime we think that something happened real fast for someone, right? Like real quick, like they didn't have to work as hard as I had to work. They didn't have to whatever. They have blah, 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 blah. The problem is all we have in terms of time for what we're seeing with them is what we've seen, right? My journey with Young Living was ridiculously fast. Okay. Ridiculously fast. And I don't mean like my whole journey. I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere, but like my journey to Diamond was super fast. And if you had just looked at that pocket of time, you would have gone, well, I mean, whatever, like Erin, blah, blah, blah. And you would have written a whole host of stories in your head and you still might. And that is your business, not mine. Because what you didn't see is the 10 years prior to Young Living that I poured into the people around me, poured in. Like when I got started with Young Living and hosted my first party, I had taught Bible study for 165 people the summer before and was like, y'all want to come over? And like half of them were like, sure, because I had poured into them for years. And that's unseen to anyone from within, totally unseen. Okay. But the kind of things that people build, anytime there's that quick flash, it always had time that you are not seeing, and yours will too. So if you're like, I just feel like I'm at the beginning of that, that's fine. We all started somewhere before we got somewhere, but consistent compounded effort over time, what's going to happen is it's going to hit a tipping point. Okay. And I mean, you beat a wall. Sorry, that's probably loud, but you beat a wall with waves over and over and over and over. And eventually you're going to see those rocks fall. You're going to see it happen. It's just that compounded effort that has to take place over time. And listen, are there massive complicated systems out there that you can use? Absolutely. There are some. I'm not even going to mention them. They exist. There are some. But do I believe that it's the small things done well consistently over time that are going to grow your business more? Oh yeah, you better believe it. I absolutely do. And the people on my team who show up, that's that overtime thing, right? The people who show up consistently are the ones who reap the benefits. And so that's what we want. We just want to create systems that let us do that well, that let us do that in a way that it's not like super complicated and, you know, flipping through notebooks and trying to figure out the answers to questions, but like, no, I've got a system for that. And you don't even have to call it a system because I didn't even call it systems until really recently. Okay. So here are some systems that you can put into place as well. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of talk through a list of things for you to consider that would be helpful for you to consider putting in. So get your notebook out. I'm looking something up really quick too, as I'm chatting with y'all, because I meant to research something before I got started. No, that's not it. Okay, I have a resource for y'all. I just want to make sure I've got it set up in here. Doggone it. There we go. I just want to make sure I give you the right information to grab it. Okay, so here's the deal. Systems for you to consider creating. Remember, this is just simple, duplicable stuff. It's not anything complicated. But what do you do when you get a new member? What are your next steps for that? Okay, these are things for you to like, maybe you're going to go, I have no idea. That might actually be your answer. And if it is, I totally feel you on that. Okay, totally feel you. We've all been there. What do you think you should do when you have a new member? I think the first thing there's a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can approach this, but one of the things that's very duplicable in getting a brand new customer is that and this is what I do. I just send them an email that has all the information in it that they need. Okay. Email is not dead. We just think it is. It's not dead. You can do that through the virtual office. I actually prefer to just grab their email address and do it through my own email. Some people are going to have their email turned off, where if you tried to do it through the virtual office, they've actually opted out of receiving emails. But if you're just looking at their profile, you can still see it. And so I would just we're not talking about adding them to mailing lists and doing a ton of stuff. We're talking about sending a personal email to somebody. Okay. And so for that, that email email is going to be fairly basic. It's going to be like, hey, thanks for grabbing oils from me. I'm really excited to hear about you diving in with these products. Shoot me back a message and let me know what you've got, because I'd love to set you up with some resources that are going to help you with that even better. Which again, this is a template. It's not the end all. If I know what they have, this is going to look a little bit different, right? But then I'm also going to have some things in there that are like, just an FYI, to access your account and place another order, go to youngliving.com. You're going to need your account number. It's this. You set up your password and PIN. So I don't have that information, but if you need help retrieving it, let me know. Just simple stuff, right? Like it's just exactly what I would sit across from somebody and say. Then I'm going to say things like, hey, we have some Facebook groups that are going to help you get some education. Here's a link for it. In my case, it would say you're going to need your member number to jump in there. So it's right above here. You can just grab that and hop in the group from there. And then I might say we have a group for brand partners, totally optional. But if you ever want to learn about how to make $100 a month or more, we'd be happy to help you with that. And here's a link for that, and so I'm just going to have everything in there for them. And then I'm also going to have, and I will tell, this is like, if I'm going to tell you about a system that exists that you should all be using, this is going to be it. And that is the Life Steps app. If you guys are not using the Life Steps app, I don't know how you're running your businesses. You can go check it out at Life Steps, spelled just like it sounds, lifestepsapp.com. And so just go to lifestepsapp.com. You can it's free for anyone who's a member of Young Living. Free. There is a pro version of it that I do highly recommend if you are growing a growing business with Young Living. There's a lot of great tools in there. In fact, I want to show you some of the tools that are in there. Hang on. I printed this out earlier and forgot to grab it from my printer, but so there are a couple of things that you can grab in there. So there is a customer checklist. It's a new customer checklist. It prints off. It's a PDF. It prints off. It's 4 pages long. I will tell you that for something like this, I think this is a great starting point. I'm way more likely to take this thing and turn it into a Google Doc or a Google form for my new customers and just kind of pick and choose the questions that I really want to go into. But it talks about like what areas of your health you want to improve. Are there supplements that you're already taking? What are some of your favorite aromas? Do you have a goal, or what products did you purchase already? Stuff like that, right? So it's just going to be like great questions to get to know where they are in their health journey. And then if you have the Pro app, which is meant for people who are growing a business, they have one for getting started with a brand partner, how to get a brand partner started. So these are great things. You may end up using this 100% as it is. I also love taking something like this and just looking at it and going, okay, this is amazing, and I'm going to use 99% of it. So let's look at it real close and see how that's going to go. So that's all in the Life Steps app. It will also, if you have that Pro account, it'll also run you through like keeping track of your members, and if their subscription order doesn't go through, or if you have a new member, and like how to start communication and links to send them the monthly promos, and there's monthly newsletters built in and all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. Anything that you're looking for in the Pro app or in the regular app, even just go to that resources tab at the bottom, just put in a keyword. This one I found with checklist. There's quite a few checklists in there. Okay, so the first thing I was saying was the email template. So just introducing your new members. I could also see having email templates that you keep. Now, there is a way to create a template in Google email, in Gmail, which is what I use. And so I don't know how. I Googled it and it told me. So I don't know how to tell you, but just go Google it. And there's a way to create a template where I can literally go to create a new email, and then I can toggle and it'll go open template. And I go open template, new member. And it's like, whoop, and the whole email is there. And all I have to do is just go in. I've like made it red where I need to like go in and edit things for that person. It's kind of smart. And so just something like that, make it feel like yourself. I didn't take anybody else's template to start it. Actually what happened is I started sending an email to a friend as they joined, and I wanted to introduce them to stuff. And then I was like, not doing this again. Did it once. We're not doing it again. That was my next system. Say emails can be really helpful for follow-up for samples that you've sent to people. follow up for attending a class. You could have an email for that you just automatically kind of template and send out to people. Anytime someone enrolls their first customer, that could be like, you could have an email that you send to them. I think it's really helpful to do text messaging, and there are programs that can help you with that as well, like Project Broadcast. But we all have email. And so you don't have to buy anything fancy to use email. Use your email. You also have your phone. You can always just text somebody from your phone. That's obviously a fairly normal thing to do as well. I just think there's something helpful about putting long form content in someone's inbox. And then you can always remind them, hey, go back to that email I sent you on such and such date, and they can kind of find it in there. Okay, so other things that I want you to consider in terms of your systems are things that you need to have on routine. Okay, so what are some things that you need to do over and over and over again? And when it comes to that, what I think about is there is a rhythm to the month with Young Living, right? There is a rhythm to what that looks like. We know the first of the month is going to bring promos. We know 3 to 5 days into the month, you need to do a little reporting, just a little bit of manual reporting within the virtual office downline viewer, and see if anybody has a missed subscription order. I get really annoyed when people don't follow up on missed subscription orders quickly, because if I order something from Amazon and that order fails, they're not going to wait 19 days to tell me that order failed. Right? They're not going to wait until the 30th of the month to tell me that order failed. I think when we do things like that on this, like clean up the month on the last of the month, like when we do that kind of stuff, for one, it's a procrastination game more than anything. The other piece of that, though, is I don't want my customers to think that although their subscription orders are going to operate on a monthly basis, I don't want them to think that they only count to me on a monthly basis. Like what they've done this month versus last month, that I'm tracking that in some way. And this is just a weird in my head kind of thing, but I just feel like when we save all of that like work, it's like catch up work. It's not even growth work, because it's just like stuff that should have already been fixed. But when we save it for the end of the month, to me, it just sort of exposes this monthly mindset that we get in. And I would rather move my business by like monitoring things every 3 to 5 days and just keeping kind of a rolling template. If your team is small, like if you're talking like a senior star executive team, maybe you have like under 30 people, you could do that weekly if that feels like that rhythm works best. Maybe every Monday you just check up on missed orders for the last 7 days, and you should know your team. I was actually talking with one of my platinums today, and she was saying, and I'm going to talk about her again in a second, but she was saying that she, as a platinum, and so I don't know how many I do know how many team members she has. We were just talking today. She's like 1,300 team members or something like that. And she was like, I know my people. Like, I don't just know whether they're on subscription, but she was like, I know who they are. I know what their health goals are. I know like what they're trying to accomplish. I often know if they have kids and how many and what their ages are, because I've taken the time to get to know my people, so that I can serve them. And so to me, that is the epitome, or I guess the virtual opposite of I clean up my month on the 30th mentality, right? Like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be my friend Julie, who like knows weird details about her people because she's taken the time to get to know them? Or do you want to be the cleanup on the 30th person? I know who I want to be. I know who I am a lot of months, if I'm honest, but I know who I want to be. Does that make sense? Like, I'm with y'all if you're like, holy cow, that is not where I've been. I get you. I still struggle with that. But every month I'm wanting more and more to be the person who cares and is on it in that way. Right. And so that is part of the monthly routine. There's other monthly routines. Stacey Vincent said it makes my end of month so much calmer. 100%. Right. Like at the end of the month, it's not about like cleaning up your month. It's about like, hey, we're close to this and we can grow it. And I don't even have to worry about all that because I already dealt with that. And it puts you in a growth mindset when the cleanup is just part of your routine instead of the thing that you do at the end of the month, right? If you've pushed it off to the end of the month, then that's where your time is going to go, and your time can't go towards something new. And we want to just free that time up throughout the month so we can always be looking for opportunities for something new. And there are other things throughout the month that we need to focus in on. I think it's good to do promotion reminders throughout the month. Maybe you're doing education on promo oils throughout the month. There's lots of things. If you were to just like have your month set up on a calendar on your desk, hashtag plug for the 2022 calendar. You can grab it at oilsupply.store.com. It's awesome. If you haven't seen it, I should have brought one over here. I don't have one near my desk. They're fantastic. But if you need a physical calendar in some way, not maybe for all of this kind of stuff, but you just need to have some stuff on repeat. There's a great deal of our business that happens over and over, and we get stuck in this weird mentality of thinking every month we need to make it exciting and new. And quite frankly, a lot of what we do is beautiful in the consistency of it. And if you could really just understand, those of you who are going to go listen to those podcasts, I remember the first one, Success Thoughts, her first success thought is, and these are thoughts that you need to be thinking in order to be successful. Her first thought is less is more. Because we often just get like overwhelmed with thinking like, I need a new fun thing. I need a new crazy thing. I need a new exciting thing. When in reality, if we would do the consistent things well, the new thing would make more sense and would take less out of us and would be more fun, because we wouldn't be bogged down in all of these other things. If y'all are interested in monthly routines and that sort of thing, another thing that I firmly believe in is weekly routines. Like, it is a really wise thing to sit down at the beginning of your work week, or even at the end of a work week as you're looking forward to start to prepare for this, but just to have a sheet where you're just brainstorming, like, these are the 5 products I want to talk about this week. These are 3 things that I need to accomplish. These are the 6 people who are like on my must talk to list this week. Here's 2 people I want to enroll this week. I'm like, that is my goal for this week, is to just get them in here. It's really important for us to have those kinds of things. And so that's where I have something coming with the monthly, with like, what is the monthly routine? Like, I have a resource for y'all coming. It's not ready yet. So in this moment, what I actually want to do is give you guys a weekly printable that you can like print every week. It's yours, it's PDF. And you can use that to start plotting out your week. Okay. So it's just fill in the blank Monday through Friday. It's got some prompts on it and some things for you guys to process through, but it's a really great way. If you need that assist, and you're welcome to share this with your people, I don't care. You're also welcome to share how to get it with them if you want them to learn about the monthly one as well. But what you're going to do is text me. Okay. This is the easiest way for me to do it and not be, bogged down in email. So text me for it. And you're going to text me the word. So in the body of the text, just put the word systems, plural, with an S at the end. Systems. Okay. That's the word you're going to text me. And you're going to text it to my number, which is 865-213-1150. I'll repeat it. And you're going to text the word systems to me at 865-213-1150. And it's going to kick that PDF right back to you. Okay, give it a minute. Actually, it may not do it tonight, just for those of you who are on the call. I probably have my settings so that I don't text in the evening. What I'll do real quick is I'll open it up for about another 30 minutes. So those of you who are texting me right now can go ahead and get that reply. But if you do that after a few minutes, it'll just kick it to tomorrow. So it's not doing it too late. Let me just make sure. Let's see. What is today? Monday. There you go. All right. So you should get a reply back then. Okay. So text, that was the word systems for me there. And so that is just a weekly kind of system tracker for you guys to have. And so what I want you guys to understand more than anything with all of this, for one, remember what I said at the very beginning of this call, and that was that systems don't work. right? They're not going to do any of the work for you. They are not in and of themselves going to be something that is going to do anything whatsoever for your business. You work. You're the one who does that. And I really firmly believe in creating systems based on the work that you've already been doing. Once you realize it's something that you need to do, again, make it a system, make it duplicable for your team in some way. And I realize that the exact wording that every one of us uses is not the way that everyone would speak. I have to tell my team this all the time because I for sure have a tone when I'm typing. I use the word y'all a lot. I use all caps a lot. Like I'm kind of like like when I type, and I have to be like, guys, make this your own, because nobody wants to receive a text from someone that they know well and know clearly that that is not their words. That is awkward, right? So anything you're creating for your team, I would just encourage you either teach them how to rewrite it or just go ahead and assume that they're not gonna, and just tone yourself down or up if you need to, but just, adjust that wording to make it like gently playful and fun, but not too over the top, right? And so just go ahead and get that kind of ready for your people, but don't do things more than twice without making a record of it and creating your systems. And then the other piece of that for your people and making it duplicable is there's a point about systems where you need to go, like kind of pull the curtain back, like Wizard of Oz style, and let them see what's going on behind the scenes. Because if you just hand them 5 steps for a successful class, right? Like we talked about earlier, if you just hand them that, they're like, I don't know what to do with this. But if you're like, hey, here's the deal. Like I decided I could either hand you the resources or I could walk you through the process, because for you to really understand the process is going to make you 10 times more successful at this. So here's the process. Then people understand what you're doing. If I just hand you 5 texts to send out to people when they have questions, you're like, I don't know what to do with this. But if I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. When I started sharing, people were asking me the same thing over and over again. And I realized instead of trying to come up with it on the fly each time, I would just keep it all in one place. So what I decided to do was hand it to you, because you're going to have this happen. And when we have this dialogue, it creates this understanding for people. And it's not just information for them to hold, but it becomes a tool that they can use and that they can understand how and when to use. And I firmly believe that even the smallest teams, the smallest situations, getting those systems implemented in a casual way is going to make you guys way more successful. And that is what I got. We got like 8 minutes. I'm happy to take questions or chit chat or whatever else. A reminder again, for those of you who came in late, hop in my Young Living, not Young Living, it's not Young Living sponsored. Hop in my Facebook group that's called Compensation Conversations. And you can find that the website for it is facebook.com/groups/brand partner tips. And that's where you can find that group /brand partner tips. Y'all are asking me for the 5 things again, and I have no idea what they are. So I talked about just like, you're going to have some things that you're going to end up wanting to save for your team. Like just as you're sharing, like, what are oils? Like, what's that stuff you're always talking about? Like, you need a response to that sort of thing. Oh, Holly, I was just making them up. Like, there are no specific 5 things. Just as your, pin your link. Pin your link is one of them. But like the whole, like, you're going to find these conversations happen. You're going to find these conversations happen as you are finding them happen. And here's the other piece of that too. I will say, if you're a team leader and you're like, I don't know what questions people ask when they haven't gotten oils yet, that is also a really great time for all of us to just go, if I'm struggling helping someone with a step of this process because I don't know what they need, it's because I haven't helped someone through this process recently enough. And every time I go on, I did a thing end of 2020, it was a year ago, I did in September, I enrolled 30 people in 30 days. I was actually setting my team up to run it with me. And then I ended up doing it like as I was preparing to train them, I did it and then I was not able to duplicate it the next month because sweet Moses, mama needed a nap, but I'm not a high enroller at all. So that was crazy. But what I found was in that season, I was like, oh my gosh, we are missing some things in terms of team onboarding and getting people information and getting people the resources that they need. And it was a wake up call for me. And so I think we all need to have that wake up call from time to time to figure out where we're missing and where we're kind of lacking some stuff there. So, okay. So the question would be like, do I just log into my Gmail email, or do I use like Flowdesk or something like that to make a pretty email? And I would say that when it comes to that sort of thing, those are two different situations. So I use my personal email, which, I mean, technically I do have both. And so technically they all look like they're coming from my personal email. But if I'm going to go in and send something to a new member, I'm going to do that from my email. It's just raw typed up. I've got a few little things in bold and a few little things in italics, but it's really just typed up in my email. Anything that I'm going to do in like a pretty email program, like a Flowdesk, that's going to be more like a mailing list kind of thing. That's going to be like tied to my website, and it's going to be more automated and not personal. But anything I can do one-on-one so that people feel like it's just me, I want it to be that way. I have a mailing list. I'm terrible. I think I've sent a few, maybe 2 ever. It's just not my thing. I'm trying, but it's not my thing. And I'm okay putting my energy other places on that,
Awesome. Someone asked, sorry, Minna. Someone asked, where can they find more of your teachings like this?
Oh, Lord, that compensation group is probably a good place to find more. I have gone through several steps of the compensation plan. And then I also did a live video. I wrote a book called Simply Share that is just all about, it's all with the new customer brand partner and all of that process. And it is just really start to finish how to grow and kind of launch your business and all the tips that you need for that. You can get that at oilsupply.store.com. And I went through, there's 4 main sections of that book. And I went through the first 2 in that compensation group. I did that like live, like I did a live video and just like trained on a couple of different things and then trained through the first half of that book on there. I'm going to do the second half as well. I may break that into 2 pieces and then more compensation plan stuff in there. And I'll do some one-off things in there. Like I'm going to do this week, I have planned to do how to rank with Young Living. I'm going to do a separate video on Silver Bound. And then I'm also going to do a video on compression, which is one of my favorite parts of our compensation plan. And like about 1.3% of people understand it. And I think it's fascinating. And so I'm going to do a video and train on that. It's kind of a higher level compensation plan thing, but I'm going to train on that. I also will be doing one probably not this week. I'm trying to get them all done by the end of October, but life is crazy. I just sold my house and like moving into an RV, and we're just sort of insane people over here. So it's all a little crazy. And I want to do one on strategic structure as well, and just kind of teach the basics of planning your team from wherever you are today, just planning it well from here on out. Yeah, they're all going to be on Vimeo. I just have not uploaded them all to Vimeo yet. So I know people keep asking me that. My goal for those videos is not that people have to be in a group at all. I just did that because when I thought through getting the content to people and how to organize it, that just seemed to make the most sense. But anyone can be in the group. It's not limited in any way. And my plan also is not for that group to continue forever and ever. Amen. I'll probably archive it at some point and just like let it rest. But all of the videos, before I do that, I will definitely make individual Vimeo links for all of them. So you guys can share them wherever you need to share them, because it's not anything exclusive that I'm trying to keep to myself at all. So it's just for y'all to grow your teams, be successful. Like how do you, so the question is about structuring. When we bring someone in as a customer and then they flip to a brand partner, if you don't touch them, they stay on your front line, on your level 1. If you consider our teams to be structured like a family tree, they're like kids. It's you and then all your kids, right? And if you're not careful, it'll be you and then like 100 of your kids on your front line, right? Let's all hope to enroll 100 people. If you feel like that's crazy, like dive into your mindset. But, and so you don't need 100 kids. You only need 6 kids to max out the compensation plan because you need 6 legs. And so you really need all of those kids to be clumped into these legs where you've got kids and grandkids and great grandkids, and it just grows and looks like this giant family tree of just multi-generations. And so strategic structuring is the concept of how to figure out all of these people that would be otherwise sitting at your child level, your level 1, how to determine where do you put them? Where and why would you put them? The biggest reason people have a question about this right now is because if I'm starting my business brand new today, everyone I'm bringing in, if they've not chosen to be a brand partner, everyone I'm bringing in is a customer. And in the past, I've taught, and any of my past videos that you've seen are still accurate, if other than the fact that I'm going to talk about starter kits and all sorts of stuff that would be really confusing for a new person. That anyone you bring in now is a customer. Before, everyone came in. We used to call them wholesale members, but that's not actually what they were. They were distributors purchasing at a wholesale level. That's in reality what was happening. So before, all they had to do to qualify as a leg leader, which in order to be the top qualifying person in a leg, someone has to be a commissions eligible, now we would say brand partner. Before, they had to be a commissions eligible distributor. Before, they needed to place a 100 PV order. That made them commissions eligible. They were eligible to get a paycheck, and everybody was a distributor. So that part of it, everybody was. So really, literally, you just needed people to order 100 PV. If I'm starting brand new now, the majority of my people are coming in as a customer. And so if I'm building a leg under these customers, they're not brand partners. And so it doesn't matter how much they order or how much customer volume, that's a whole other video. I've already taught it in that group. They're still not commissions eligible brand partners because they're customers. Okay. So this is where, if y'all are still tracking with me and I'm not lost you, this is where a lot of the confusion comes from. So what do I do with all these customers? Can I make them the top of a leg? Does it make sense to structure under them? Do I need to wait until someone turns brand partner to build under them? I'm going to say no to that just right off the bat. No, you don't need to wait until they turn brand partner. You have 30 days from the moment they activate their account, 30 days to move them, period. That is from the day they activate their customer account. Doesn't matter if they've placed an order yet. I had somebody activate an account with me a few days ago and she hasn't ordered anything yet. I don't know how or why. But that is when my 30 days with her started, not when she gets her first order in, and not if she flips over to brand partner. 30 days from activation date, and they're locked there without paperwork and involvement and a fee from resolutions. So you need to move them. You need to move people pretty quickly, which means we're making decisions on where to move them without knowing a lot about the people that are already in position in our downline, right? So then the ways that I'm going to look at moving people are going to be, I am a firm believer in structuring based on relationship, meaning if they're family, put them together, as long as they're like happy family, put them together. If they are all friends of yours from, your knitting club, put them together, like figure out this. I would figure out which one of them, if they're all joining at the same time, figure out which one of them is the most likely. Guys, it's a guessing game. We all know this, but figure out which one of them is the most likely to maybe be interested or be entrepreneurial enough to like get it down the road and flip to brand partner, or just to consistently order, right? And to be at the top. And then you can hopefully get them to flip to brand partner down the road. And that's the person I would leave as a child, and everyone else I would structure under them. I have a lot of personal rules. I never give anybody more than 2 people, which means I might do lots of pairs down legs, but I just firmly believe if everybody on your team takes off, everybody decides they want to build a business, everybody decides to order forever and ever, amen. I want to be super duper happy for you for that. But if you want to hit silver, you got to put some work into it, and you need to enroll your 3rd leg, and your PGV needs to be something you're in charge of. Y'all track me on that? Like, I just think people need to not just get a silver paycheck without having done silver work. That's just my opinion. And thank you for those of you like Danette, I see answering some questions about how to place people in the chat. For the first 5 days, you can do it on live chat or by calling customer service. Between days, well, anytime, days 1 to 30, you can also send an email to resolutions, and all your requests, you want to keep the enroller. My opinion also, always keep the enroller of the people you've enrolled, just change their sponsor. Sponsor is just where they're placed. Enroller is the person who brought them in. Sponsor is just position, okay? Just their position in your downline. So you're changing their sponsor to do that. Oh my gosh, this has turned into a structure video. The other thing that I would say is the main reason people are hung up on strategic structure is because we don't have those brand partners initially to be the tops of those legs. But what I want to remind you of is you don't actually need a brand partner at the top of your legs until you're an executive, because the first rank where legs matter is executive. In silver bound, you do need legs at senior star. I know, don't correct me. I know, I just didn't have time to say it yet. But in terms of actual like hardcore long-term rank with the company, executive is the first time you have to have the person at the top of your leg be a brand partner. And so for that reason, the way I'm looking at it is I'm just going to make it a little bit of, I pray in place. Like I'm going to just like, hope I'm putting them in the right place. I'm going to pray about it, place them and then just trust in that. Like there's only so much you can do about it. You will make mistakes. Also, you can write that down. You can tell me I was right, because I will be. You will make mistakes. But it's not until I get to executive and there's 1,000 OGV under that leg that I actually need the person at the top to be a brand partner. And at that point, if they would qualify as a brand partner because either they're ordering 100 PV or their customers on their level 1 have enough in for their CV to count. CV is a beautiful thing. It's a really awesome thing. And I've explained it in another video. By that time, it's worth the $29 for them to flip themselves to brand partner to start collecting a paycheck on that leg. Okay. And so it's generally, that's not going to be a big deal. By the time you need the leg, it's going to make sense for that person to flip to brand partner to make some money on that leg. So I'm just not sweating that piece of it a whole lot for my new builders, for sure. Okay. Any other questions on that? The top of a leg needs to be a brand partner. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? No one? I answered every question you could possibly have about the business. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I doubt it.